Hello YouTube, Ronin Kaze. Have some Manhunt videos for you. First off, I'm doing Metro Runes on Heroic solo with my Vile Jammer build. Been talking to you the past couple days about Vile Jammer in depth. I haven't really shown you any screenshots of the stuff. I've just been explaining the strategy. This is going to take a little bit longer, but this is one of the huge advantages. So I'm outside of the area and I'm going to pulse them down till it's relatively nothing. And you can see I used to do this with my other build. It was doing 43,000 hit. This is doing 70 plus a hit. A tick. And I'm just going to fight them from up here down there. And I apologize, when I did the final boss, I really did the dog snot out of that, and I didn't turn on the video till I got to a couple areas. I might redo it so you can see that, but just exemplifies what you can do with this build. Maximum safety, no fuss, no muss. Sometimes you just want to complete a mission. I could go down there and fight them and I'd have relatively the same effect. But sometimes, especially after the past couple days, I'm trying to show you about the build. This just exemplifies what you can do. The last video I did was called Irresistible. They can't stop me from doing this. And if you get to the final boss, I blow them up. They're like a floor below me, and I'm just blowing them up. And I set a turret up that long ramp, and as they're coming up the ramp, I mow them down, and I'm continually pulsing them. So the people that are mobile come up and get slaughtered by the turret, and everyone else dies on the pulses. And that's a rinse and repeat all the way through their solo. But I didn't press record because I don't know why. Maybe the dogs were going crazy. But I'm doing Metro Runes now. Eventually I go in there. And on the back part of this video, I'm going to do a territorial control, which is really near here. So whatever build you pick, you know, you should feel confident that you can do a heroic solo. It's should be relatively easy for your play style. If you're having problems, you might put some tweaks. I had someone in the comments that they run a similar build to me, except they have more reds than I do. I usually default to a blue, and they default to a red, and there's a lot of really good red sets, you know. When I do that, there's that one gear set WGN, gives you +5 weapon damage right off the top. So sometimes I throw that in on a tank build. I really like that. If I'm in a tank build, I might do a DNH. They have that one where it's extra headshots, and then when I'm in my tank build, that's mainly what I'm doing, headshots. So that's a good piece. But normally I put a blue in here. I'm just worried about survivability. I love playing in groups. I love doing pickups, but I also sometimes I just want to solo things. So I'm a really firm believer in the turret. If you're soloing, because it's another thing that helps keep pressure up on the enemy. And so it's really a fire and forget. It can keep them at bay while you're pulsing them. Again, perfect example why this build works great. You just shut a dog down, right? And the dog ceases to be an issue. The one thing I like about the Manhunt control points is they don't have like 2 bosses. They have a yellow, but it's more like a challenging setup. It's probably still heroic, but they don't have a named boss because that's kind of would be tedious. I did these roughly in 9 to 11 minutes on all of them. If I was more pushing it, I'm sure it's 8 minutes to do a control point. I think I was going to do that for you a long time ago, is get you the average times on control points. Usually it's like 6 minutes. And I do a territorial control right after this, and I do that in like 3 minutes. So it's like a third. I didn't look at the XP. Maybe we can look at the XP here. Again, we talked about with this build, part of the status effects you're putting on with your Scorpio. If there was a person around here, they'd be getting it too. Oh, and I have the stupid event on where the people are constantly living, which is a pain in the ass for sure. So I walked past that guy because this is the first thing I'm doing after I logged in and got the update and everything. And there's a guy behind me now. There's gonna be two. Turn around, Ronin. And so normally you're not going to reach those guys above you, but again, another benefit of this build is I'm just going to hit everyone. And that's it. It's cleared.
Incoming hostiles detected. Incoming hostiles detected.
And so I don't want to drone incessantly. It's not like this is the only build. But a lot of times, I'll tell you a while back, before, in the last season, I ended up being 99 Shepherd. There was a young, I'm going to say young, there was a person, non-native English speaking person. We could communicate okay. He was a very nice person to run with. But I just tried to help him get better builds. So I'd take him up into the summit. We'd do heroics together so he could get better stuff. And at the end, he is a much better player than me, right? He built a great build, and he was really great. He was a great person to run with, and I was glad I could help him. I just shared what I did. And then he took it to the next level. Oh, and there's my dog on cue. So a lot of times, these builds are kind of like, you know, the formulation, a foundation, as it were, to other builds. Person commented today, I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, where they put reds in, I put blues, but I'm starting to think about what would be my foundation pieces. Would I still keep the vial if I had the, you know, a DPS set on? So here's an unfortunate thing. The LMG that puts that status effect is not a status effect. You know, it's not impacted by status effects. It's impacted by it's the LMG. It's the one from the hyenas that puts a status on someone. But it's based on your reds, not on your status effects. And I tried to do that with some other things, try to get cheeky. Really, the only thing is ongoing directive. So if I was going to mix something, I already have a build that's ongoing directive, and that's a pretty darn good build. Maybe if I ran that in red, that'd be okay. But as you lean more red or more blue, you lose the effectiveness of the skill stuff. So you're putting a lot less. So then what are you doing then? You know, so that's the trade-off. And that's what's great about the game design. You know, you have three things. Am I going to do things fast, rate of fire, or recharge? Am I do things with a lot of damage, either skill damage, weapon damage, or status effects? And I'm going to have survival. There, my Unbreakable just fired off. And so that's really, those are the levers that you have to use when you're making your character. What part do you like to play? I think about some of the people that have, in the past, I'd say 3 months, that have been pretty impressive. Have probably been Heartbreaker builds where they build their stacks and they have a lot of armor and they're putting a lot of DPS out. And they're building the armor stacks quite a bit. And whenever I try to do a Heartbreaker build, I always cheat. I either don't do the chest or I don't do the backpack because I want to slip something else in, and it's just not as quite as effective. And it, you know, I did a couple videos. I do a bunch of videos on the Division. I'm trying to do another channel. I don't do a lot of division. I've done some division. But they used to have the ninja backpack counted as a wild card. So you could have, to get your 4 of something, you could have like, you know, you could do a 3 and a 3. You could do like, I don't know. It works somehow. It works somehow. When I'm saying it now out loud, it doesn't seem like it works. So I got one guy to get now. You see, that's so easy. This was so easy. And I thought about it in the last video. I was talking about whether you do things solo or not. And can you take these builds solo legend? There's not a lot of reason to do legendary content solo. And I would kind of say to you, there's really no, I haven't used a piece of gear in forever. Once you get geared up relatively good, it's just funner to play with people. That's why I do it. I mean, that's what I like about the game, is the social aspect. All right, so this is cleared. So what I did is, for the sake of the videos, I would cut the video. And now we're going to go on to the territory control. You don't need to see me loot. So I'm up the stairs. I try to start it close. And you're going to see the territorial control is embarrassingly easy on how fast it goes. One thing I like in all these manhunts is they reuse areas of the map that we don't always see. And that's fantastic. Again, the Division 2 is, for whatever reason, it's a game that I think that it's really well thought out and really well produced. So kudos to everyone involved in that. So you can see I have a weak position to defend from. And if they had any common sense, they'd rush me, but they'd be running headlong into a turret. They'd be running headlong into a shotgun, and they're constantly getting jammer. And this would have gone faster if they didn't keep reviving. And so this is what I'm talking about with, and I imagine there's been times like I tried to do a sniper build, and I kind of had it up and I was going to use, you know, whatever that super uber sniper rifle is. And then they have the piece of gear that if you're scoped in at an 8 time or more, blah, blah, blah. But if you're in a group, those guys kill so fast in the groups nowadays that, like, you don't get to, you know, you don't want to be that person that tells everyone, stop, let me get a headshot. You know, most groups want to move fast. I want to move fast through there and knock things out. And really, I think I alluded to this in the video previously, but back in the day there was a game called, I'm going to have to save that for the next video. I'm going to try to put out a bunch of videos tonight. So this was Metro Runes Control Point and Territorial Control. Doing the Manhunt for Lucky. I did it the first night, recorded it. I made my short based on, I finished it. Screwed up, didn't capture some of the best footage. It was boring, but didn't capture it. And this is the build. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks everyone. See you on the next time on the other side. Holy mackerel.